What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I am here to share some news about OP-07, the English release of OP-07. Yes, I am obviously using the Japanese pack art. We don't have the English pack art. I would love to share the English pack art with you. We don't have it. So just on the offset, right, we're talking about OP-07. We're talking about the English OP-07. We just don't have images of the English OP-07, so we're having to use the Japanese. Good. Excellent. Now, we've heard some news. It's something I've been hearing for a while. I've heard rumours of this for a couple of weeks now, and I've not shared it with you because it's been unsubstantiated rumours. But it's now been posted in public, and since someone's actually gone and put the money where the mouth is and posted it in public, I think it's worth talking about, and that is that it looks to be that OP-07 is heavily allocated. Now, for those that are unaware of the parlance, heavily allocated basically means everyone is receiving a certain percentage of what they ordered. If stock is not allocated, the amount you order is what you receive. If stock is allocated, then it might be allocated at, say, and this is a random number I'm pulling out of thin air, but it might be allocated at, say, 50%, which means every store gets 50% of what they ordered. Although in reality, it's rare, not impossible, but it's rare that every store is allocated the same because there's different relationships going on and there's all kinds of other factors at play. So it's not often the case that all stores are allocated equally. Some have a better relationship with Bandai and some have different things going on, and there's all kinds of factors at play here. Now, the store in question is Safari Zone Collectibles. They have gone and shared this update over on their Facebook. Sad news from OP-07 from us. We got allocation numbers today from Distro. That means their distributor has told them how many they're getting. And I'm sad to say that we cannot offer any pre-orders for them. Our numbers were cut in half for this set. That is an allocation of 50%. And as we are an official store that has to run events and things, I simply cannot offer any. I hope you all can find boxes for a good price, but be aware that it looks like that will be very, very hard. Now, I want to advocate here for a little bit of caution. Now, I have heard these rumours previously, and to be fair, I track distributor websites, as I'm sure you guys know at this point, and with OP-07, orders are in. Like, the window for ordering OP-07 at distributors has ended. For what it's worth, you have exactly 1 day to order OP-08 from most distributors. So, yeah, this is about the kind of time that this news would be coming out. So it makes sense with the timing. It matches the rumours I've heard over the past few days, week or two. And stores like this generally don't tend to post this stuff as a ha gotcha. And they don't tend to share this stuff without knowledge. We're talking about actual stores sharing things that are actually true. So it's not confirmed, and unfortunately this is not the kind of stuff that Bandai would announce. Bandai don't generally come out, no company does, and go, hey, we're heavily allocating this stuff, so, good luck, queue up on release day. That's generally not the kind of thing they do, alright? But, as with all of this, take it with a pinch of salt. Be aware that it might not be true. Be aware that every store might not be allocated the same. And also be aware that this set isn't actually coming out until June. Now, I am not saying that Bandai are magically going to throw a whole bunch more into production and give stores an update later on nearer the time, because honestly, for a June release, yeah, you need to be printing now. But I am saying things can change. It would not be the most unusual thing in the world for a late extra print to up allocation. I am not saying it's happening or even likely, but I am saying I have heard of things like that happening. So there's all of my caveats and all of my, it might not be that bad. But to be perfectly clear, everything I'm hearing here, and like I say, this is not the only thing I've heard. This is just the only thing that's been posted in public and I can actually share. Everything else has been whispers and rumours and, little nudges and people giving me, a little bit of information in my ear, which may or may not be trustworthy. But when I hear that a few times and then we get this posted in public, it seems to be legit. Again, I've done all my caveats on the front end of the video. What does that mean for One Piece TCG fans? What does that mean for getting hold of OP-07? Well, one thing it means is, and I've given you this advice many, many, many times, make friends with your local game store. My local game store is Mad for Miniatures down in Cornwall, and I'll be honest with you, they are awesome, and I love them. And at the weekend, I wanted to give my wife a few hours to sit and read her book. I didn't know what to do with my children. The weather was horrendous, so we couldn't go to the park like we normally would. So you know what we did? We went on a little road trip to Mad for Miniatures, and I bought some cards, and the kids had a great time wandering around and looking at the card shop, and I promise you that they're little, right? They love stuff like that. But the point is, I support my local game store. And there are many times where I could have bought stuff cheaper online, and instead I did a 2-hour round trip to my local game store to buy stuff that I could have just sat at home and bought cheaper online. And I know not everybody else is in a position to do this. And I know not everybody has a local game store, and I know that not everyone that has a local game store has a good local game store. I promise you I know all of this, and I know it's not an option for everybody. But I also know there are a lot of people that shop online when they can get it cheaper and don't go down to the local game store unless they can't find it online. And I'm telling you right now, and there are a lot of people like that, and I don't judge, no judgment here, but what I'm saying is local game stores, when they have heavily allocated product, they're going to give it to their regulars. I am personally not that worried about OP-07 even if it's allocated. And the reason is extremely simple. I have a local game store that I've been supporting for years. Well over a decade at this point. Well over a decade. And I will go and buy stuff from there even if I can get it cheaper elsewhere. And that is my number one hack. Not just for OP-07, just generally. That is my number one hack for getting TCG stuff that's hard to find. Make friends with your local game store. What if that's not an option? And I know it's not an option for everybody. Well, there are two things that you can do, and I'm afraid neither are ideal, let's be perfectly clear. I am bringing you the news and telling you the best I can, but this is far from perfect. Number one, start looking now. One of the reasons I'm bringing you this video now is because the set doesn't drop for 4 months. So that gives you 4 months to keep an eye on pre-orders, to bookmark a bunch of websites, to call around local game stores in your area, and just inquire. As another little side note from your old pal Wassy, maybe instead of just randomly ringing them, maybe you go to a One Piece TCG event, maybe a Starter Deck 11 event, for instance, and maybe while you're there and giving them the business anyway, you ask, or you pop in to go and buy something. And while you're there buying something anyway, you inquire. So then you're actually a customer and someone supporting the store, not some rando just ringing up. The other thing you can do, and I know this sucks and I know it's not for everybody, be patient. Because here's the thing, I've been here many, many, many times with many different card games. I was here when Shining Fates released for Pokemon, and that was very, very heavily allocated. As in, on the release date for Shining Fates, it was almost impossible to buy anything. Except I did get some, guess where I got it? My local game store. Seriously, and I know it's not an option for everybody, but if it is, you've got to support your local game store, because I promise you, they will hook you up when it's hard to get stuff elsewhere. The thing about Shining Fates is, on release, impossible to find. And then Pokemon kept printing it. And within a few months, it was super easy to find. And it was fine. But initially, it was very, very rough. We saw the same thing with Romance Dawn, especially in the UK, and I know it might not have been the same in every area, but when OP-01 came out, when Romance Dawn initially dropped, it was extremely difficult to actually find booster packs of this in the wild. And after a couple of months, there were, I think, 4 different times I just wandered into a shop in the UK selling cards and saw OP-01 for sale at retail, just sitting there on the shelves, because Bandai kept reprinting. And that's going to happen for OP-07. It is going to happen. There is absolutely no way Bandai go, well, we've got this super popular card game, and we've had to allocate this one set. It'll be fine. People will just keep buying OP-08. We'll just ignore OP-07. That's not going to happen. Bandai are going to keep printing it. There will be restocks. There is absolutely no way it is heavily allocated on release and Bandai don't keep printing it. That's absurd. That is not how the TCG model works. But I also know that that's not for everybody, because there are a whole bunch of you out there that play the game. And we've not really, OP-07 isn't actually out yet. It comes out on Friday. So we don't know what's good. But if nothing else, Egghead decks are looking very, very good. And there are going to be a bunch of other playable cards in the set. There always are. So you might have to buy singles initially. And singles always end up a little bit cheaper than boxes. Don't buy them in the first week or two if you can help it. But after a week or two, the prices of these singles always go down. So maybe that's an option, buying singles while you wait for boxes to come in. Because don't get me wrong, right? OP-07 is a good set. And if you are a Boa Hancock fan, and I know there are many Boa Hancock fans out there, yeah, this is a ridiculous set. Because you've got the alternate art leader, and you've got the alternate art character, and you've got the manga rare. But outside of that, it's not a set which, you've got the Boa Hancock cards. But this is not like OP-05, for instance. OP-05, where you've got the free manga rares. And then you've got the signed Luffy card. Like, OP-05 is redonk. And also, OP-05 has ended up being like a ridiculously playable set that completely switched up the metagame. Maybe that will happen again with OP-07, but it doesn't look like it's going to be quite so impactful. There'll be a bunch of good cards, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying I don't think it might necessarily be on the same level as an OP-05. So what's the too long didn't read version? Where are we left at the end of this? Well, it looks like it is being allocated, and honestly, like I say, I've heard enough and seen enough now to suggest that it does seem to be true, but we don't know the limits of it. We don't know exactly what the allocation is going to look like everywhere. We're 4 months away from the release of the set. We have got very imperfect information. If you can make friends with your local game store, that is always going to be the best place, not just for this, but for any TCG stuff, where it is short printed or allocated or whatever. It's always going to be your best option. Keep an eye out for pre-orders now, but like I've said, try not to be the dude that's just randomly ringing. Try and be the dude that's going and supporting the shop and asking while you're there. Most game stores prefer customers to random people ringing on the phone chancing it. Be aware that there will be reprints. The allocation will not last forever. But obviously, if you're looking to play, you might have to get singles initially. No, this is not ideal news, and I'm sorry. And I know this is the kind of video where several of you are going to be watching this and going, oh, so it's allocated. Oh, well, it might not be that bad, but you don't know. Oh, and it's okay if I make friends with my local game store, but that's not an option for me. And I am aware of all of this, and I'm sorry. All I can do is bring you the news as best as I've found it, and give you the best advice I can from my many years of buying TCGs. Hopefully some of the stuff I've said in here has been helpful, and I wish you all luck picking up OP-07, because it does look like a very cool set. But now it's over to you guys. Have you heard anything about this? Have you got your pre-orders in for OP-07? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.